Hey, guess what? We are back, and yes, we are live. We're live once again, Scott Turon. What do you
Again,
think?
we're still live.
We're still doing it live, is that right?
Is it the same recording or is this a different one?
Oh, is this the Cleveland Takeover edition
It
of the
is.
Brewery
It
Underground
is.
podcast?
Right. This is the continuation of the saga that was from Cincinnati on to Cleveland.
That's right. So it's like as the world turns, we went and we did the Cincinnati Takeover edition, and now we are talking about the other areas of Ohio that we took over after
Yeah.
Cincinnati, and actually to be a little more accurate, we took over Cleveland. We stopped through Akron, we stopped through Columbus, and on our way home, we stopped through Louisville.
Louisville.
Somebody's going to correct me. I'm just going to keep saying it the way I want it, and then
We-
can correct me.
We'll have all the pronunciations covered.
We will. Well, this is going to be another fun episode because we have a lot to talk about because we did a lot in the northern Ohio area.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm excited about that we're going to talk about in a few minutes is the fact that we did go to Great Lakes. But we also got some beer from Great Lakes, and we have to kick off, at least I am. I'm kicking off a beer, my friend, from Great Lakes Brewery tonight. Okay. How about you?
I'm starting with, which is relevant, Masthead Estate Grown IPA. And the only reason I'm starting with that is because by the time we get to the Great Lakes part of this, I will be on to the Great Lakes beer that I have. Which is Imperial Amber Lager aged in bourbon barrels. And I know you're sipping on something real nice.
Haven't even had it yet. I poured it in my vivacious Great Lakes glass, but here it is right here, friends. It is.
Look at that.
This is the Great Lakes. Yikes. Oh my gosh. This is the barrel-aged Blackout Stout, and I'm actually looking on their website right now because I wanted to get a little more information about this. This is a 12.5% beer. They say it is malty, and it also has been around basically since 2003. So it says that when they brought this out, they call it bold and dark as a powerless metropolis. The Imperial Stout commemorates the infamous 2003 blackout that briefly left some 55 million people utterly unplugged. So actually, this was not released in 2003, but after that, and then
it was
this. Yes,
it was in reference to the 2003 blackout.
It was exactly, and this was a gold medal winner in 2011 at the World Beer Championship.
That's fantastic. What is the ABV on that? Because I'm sure it's really low.
12.5%.
Damn right it is. You're damn right it is. And we want to thank our buddy Michael at Great Lakes for giving us that
Michael
beer.
Williams, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. I've got a couple in my bag right here, too, that we'll get to what I just mentioned. But yes, thank you very much.
You know, the other thing we'd love to talk about, and they have this on there, is that what you would pair this with.
Ooh.
So you would pair this with maybe a ribeye steak, a rich chocolate dessert, and pungent cheeses.
Holy shit.
So next time I have one. Oh, here we go.
You couldn't have said something prior and we could be having cheeses and steaks.
We could be having some
right now.
Some fine cheeses, maybe some cheese curds. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
All right.
We could have had a pre-podcast dinner. How is it?
We could have. Oh wow. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you speechless?
I don't know if I'm speechless, but it's pretty good. By the time I get done with this, I may be speechless. You never know.
No, you'll be Chatty Cathy after that's done.
Chatty Cathy, I may be wanting some more pungent cheeses. Yes.
Yeah, it looks good. That looked really good, by the way.
It is. It's excellent. So loving it so far.
When we get to the Great Lakes part of this, I'm gonna bust out this other one that I've got here. So
gotta bust it out.
I'm gonna bust it out.
All right, we love it. We love the fact
by the way, Steve, so
Yeah.
We've done these trips for many, many a year, right? We've done this trip annually, and it's always been Cincinnati. We've always gone to Cincinnati. We've done all the things in Cincinnati, right? A few outliers, right? Covington and Bellevue and that kind of stuff, but Cincinnati area. This year, we went above and beyond. Not just Cincinnati, hence this part of the podcast, but we added not one city, not two cities, not three, four cities. If you count Louisville on the way back, we added 4 different cities that we've never done as part of this journey before. So how about that? We always talk about we add days and we got to add another day. We added like 4 or 5 more days to this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't even remember because we have not accounted for when this actually all started. It probably goes back 8 or 9 years ago where it started just like on like a weekend trip with Cincinnati, like Friday, come back Sunday or Monday. And now here it is. And the other thing that I'll tell you, you're a patient man because you were driving the entire time and you drove through a lot of rain, a lot of weird, wacky weather. And I always thought to myself, we've talked about this off and on. It's like, it's good to have good travel partners because you can have some people that would be in a car and it'd be like, we're going to get there, and then backseat drivers. I hope I'm not one. I try to be like the guy that, every once in a while, because I'm a bit of a weather nerd. So I'm on that, I'm on my weather app half the time as we were driving going, well, we're going to be going through. And you do that too. When I've driven before, you're on like the weather app and you're like, where's the green blob on the radar? Where's the red?
How much longer do we have to drive in this shit?
Well, we had to drive. We're not going to talk about weather this whole time on this podcast, although it seemed like it was the theme. From the time I think we left Cincinnati and we hit around Columbus.
Yep,
I'll tell you what, man. I mean, I've driven through some heavy rain before. I know you do too. You have too. But that was for a good hour drive. That was intense going through Columbus.
It was. I was white knuckling it the whole way. And the one thing was the one thing that kept me going was I just got to see the taillights of the car in front of me or the tractor trailer or whatever. If I didn't see those, we'd have been doomed.
We would have been doomed.
Because you couldn't see, when I say 5 feet, I'm not exaggerating. You couldn't see 5 feet in front of you. And if there was a car stopped ahead of us, if it was just stopped, we'd have been toast. And we'd still be on the interstate, by the way, because it would have been that bad. But we got through it, man. I thought about pulling over once or twice and letting it ride out. We just powered through. Like, we're going to get through this at some point. You were checking the radar. We were going to eventually get out of it, and we finally did. Thank God.
I will say I have 2 notes on this. I think my entire lifetime, anytime I've ever been through Columbus, Ohio, on the interstate up there, I think it's like I-71, 75, whichever one it is. There's always construction.
Yeah.
And it's always like stupid construction. It's like Columbus, Ohio, your roads can't be that bad all the time.
Well, eventually something's got to get finished, don't you think?
Pick something. Yeah, pick something. But the other thing we said, because living in Nashville, we know sunshine will take the interstates down. I'm pretty confident that if we would try to go through the rain in Nashville that we did in Columbus, Ohio, we probably would have had to stay in Columbus, Ohio for about 2 days. Yeah. So maybe Ohio drivers, I don't know, maybe they're better. I don't know.
It worked, man. We just kept saying, as long as there's not a wreck, because it would have shut down everything completely.
I know.
And we saw some idiots driving by without lights and speeding and doing all that kind of crap and weaving in and out, and how there was an accident, I don't know. But we got through it, thankfully, and for the betterment of... I'm just glad we didn't have to pull over. Like, we would have done it for safety reasons, but damn, we'd have been, we might have sat there for 2 or 3 hours, and then then I just want to get back on the road anyway. So we managed.
We may have, yeah. And we were on a mission, as they say in the Blues Brothers movie, we're on a mission from God. Not quite that. On a mission for craft beer.
Ultimately, and we went to several places that we'll talk about, but ultimately our priority and the reason for going to Cleveland was Great Lakes Brewing Company.
It was.
That was the sole reason. We fielded a lot of things around it, which were great also, but Great Lakes was the target.
Great Lakes was the target, and we targeted them, and we will talk about that in a few minutes. But we certainly for just basically when we were on the road, we had left Cincinnati, and this was on Wednesday. That was May 21st. So
that's right.
The first stop we were hoping to get here because you and I had both had some of their beer in can over time, and it was a brewery that I did not even know had been around this long, and we'll get some information on them in a few minutes.
Yep.
Hoppin Frog in Akron, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to them, man! What a great place. And the funny thing was, we got the Hoppin Frog. We had outrun the rain, but I had said to you, I'm like, I don't know how long we're going to outrun the rain because it looks like it's pushing up towards us.
We had a clearing for a bit, yeah.
We had a clearing, but yeah, we went to Hoppin Frog in Akron, a really fantastic place. It's actually across the street from an old Goodyear blimp plant.
Lord. We saw that building and we had no idea what the heck that was. It was massive.
Like, what is going on here? And I'm sure inside Hoppin Frog, they probably have answered that question about 1 million times. But it was really cool. I mean, it was interesting because it's always fascinating to go to breweries and see, like, are they in a big central area of something? And I don't know how populated Akron is. I mean, it's a fairly large city in Akron, but in Ohio, I should say. But Hoppin Frog, it's kind of in the middle of a rural area, so to speak. At least it looked like it was. I could be wrong, but it seemed like it kind of was off the road. But we got there, and we're talking to the guy inside, and I'm like, so the brewery, they've been there since 2006, and I did not know this. This is really impressive. They distribute their beer not only to 21 states, but 40 foreign countries. The Hoppin Frog does.
Yeah. He said they were international. And you know what's funny? We get a lot of it here. We've seen it quite a bit. And I'm sure a lot of states do too. Like you just said, 21 of them. You just imagine this gigantic place, right? Because they distribute so much, and we see a bunch of it here. And we can go to multiple liquor stores in town, and they've got Hoppin Frog. We see it regularly.
Yeah.
And not that the place was tiny, but you just imagine it like it's 10 square blocks, they're doing all this distribution and stuff. And you get in there, it's like, it's just a nice, cool spot, but they make a lot of beer and they distribute to a lot of places. And it's really cool to see it in person.
Nice, cool spot.
Yeah.
Obviously that's where they distribute the beer. You could see that on one side and then, the tap room on the other. So, we went in there and we knew we weren't going to be in there a long time. It's kind of like, a couple places on this trip. It's like, okay, how much time do we have?
Yeah.
We probably, we were in there for maybe an hour, hour and a half as we were going to make our way up to Cleveland.
Because we still had another hour and change to drive.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Through rain.
Right. Correct. More rain. Yeah. Right. And we couldn't get hammered, but we had enough to get to experience it.
Exactly. So the thing I really loved about Hoppin Frog, and this is not taking away from any other breweries that I ever go to, but I always love it, especially if you go to a new brewery, that they just don't have the same style of beer, that they have a variation of a lot of different things on their menu. So, for example, as I'm looking right now at their tap room menu, I mean, they have like golden blonde ales, they have Russian imperial stouts. They do wheat beers and shandies and, Belgian quadruples. I mean, it's just so many other things that they do as well. And they do a lot of interesting, they do a lot of different, like pastry stouts and, fruit beers. They do a lot of stuff that can be really sweet. So if you're not into the whole sweet aspect of it, maybe you would want to choose something else. But I don't know about you, but I mean, I enjoyed everything I got there. I mean, I got a flight, and I got their Gangster Frog IPA, which I loved. I'll tell you something that really stood out for me. I like Pilsners, but sometimes for me, Pilsners can be maybe a little mediocre. They had their Hoppin Pilsner.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they did with this, but I had it and I went, this is one of the better Pilsners that has stood out in my mind of going, I really would drink a lot of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
The fact that they've been around, which is about to be 19 years, right? They got a 19-year anniversary coming up. Tells you something about how good of the stuff is they brew. Shandies. I know them from shandies. There's a lot of shandies down here and a lot of high ABV shandies, and they do a lot of weird stuff with it, and weird in a good way. Like they do a lot of different adjuncts and stuff with them. And barrel-aged stuff. There's a lot of barrel-aged stuff you find here in Nashville from the Hoppin' Frog stuff. So to say that and then to be able to do a Pilsner well at the same time, it tells you, I mean, I had a lavender wheat ale.
Yeah.
And also an IPA, and I had a pistachio watermelon turbo shandy and a peanut butter chocolate coffee porter. But to be able to do all those things and have that kind of longevity means you're doing a good job in everything you do, because you wouldn't last 19 years.
No,
you can't. It's hard to last 19 years if you did one thing well. They're doing everything well. So it's what's great about going there and like any place, you get to try. You do the flight. You get to try all these weird things and some things you might not find outside of the tap room. So it was amazing. And I had all these weird things. And at the end, I was like, I need one more taster, and it was the Pilsner, because I wanted to have the Pilsner.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if you were influenced by me, because I know when I had that Pilsner, I'm like, this is one of the better Pilsners I've had in a while. And I think you were like, okay, I'm going to have to try it too. So
I'm not leaving without it.
I'm not going to leave without it. I'm going to try it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're bragging on it. It's like, I have to have that, because I had all the weird stuff, but then I need to close out with a nice, clean, simple Pilsner. And it was fabulous. Everything they do is fabulous. Yep. Now, that pistachio watermelon turbo shandy was weird.
Yeah.
But it was good. And it was all the things it said it was.
Yeah.
That's a place you go to, and you just got to try the weird stuff, man. You just got to.
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
why you go.
If you're into that kind of stuff, which we are, we will try almost anything within reason. Then, we will try that. The other thing I had was their Smashing Honey Blonde, which I really liked. And then you also talked about their shandies. My absolute favorite on the flight was the Kickin' Blackberry Turbo Shandy.
Yeah.
Citrus Ale. Say that 5 times fast.
I know, right? I think, and I don't know, I'm not an expert, I don't know, but that Turbo Shandy, I think, is a base for a lot of other variations of that shandy. Again, I had the watermelon or the pistachio watermelon one. When we came back, we had the can of the peanut butter jelly turbo shandy. So I think the turbo shandy is a base for a lot of things that they do, and they do variants of it. So,
which that is currently sitting in my refrigerator, and I will have, and I look forward to having soon. I didn't look it up. I could, if I would have thought about it, I looked it up. I had a couple of their beers in can over the past year, and one of them in can, it was like a pastry stout, and it was like a chocolate raspberry. And I remember having it, and I thought, this goes back to a lot of the conversations we have at times where you're like, is this too much in a 12-ounce can? That one would have been good on a flight. I started having it, and I'm like, I like it.
Yeah.
I taste the chocolate. I taste the raspberry. I get what it's doing for me. But man, this is really, really, really sweet. And so sometimes that's why a flight comes in handy. Yeah.
They're very rich. There's a lot of it. Like, even ABV aside, because those things are like 12% or and above, but even that aside, they are very rich and it's like, it is a lot, right? Like 12 ounces of that. Sometimes, when you ever drink a beer and you keep drinking it and just feel like there's more in there. Like you never get, there's never less.
Yeah.
The more you drink. Sometimes, and again, good, but it just gets to be a lot sometimes.
Yeah, a little bit too much sometimes. Sort of like what we talked about on the Cincinnati Takeover episode, and we were fabled and we had the mead, and it was like, okay,
yeah,
at some point I gotta stop. I'm gonna go in diabetic coma here.
So I love it. I love what you're doing here, but I don't need 12 or 16 ounces of it.
I don't need any more of this. Yeah. No, it was good though.
No, it's good stuff, and so glad we stopped. Great spot, man. Just anybody that's at that way, because I guarantee you, everybody that's listened to this knows of Hoppin' Frog in one way or another. Like,
sure,
it's out there in the wild quite a bit. So
yeah. Like I said, just going back to what I said in the beginning, I did not realize their reach. I did not realize that not only do they distribute to 22 states, they're in 40 freaking foreign countries. For God's sakes, that's
crazy.
That is impressive. That is extremely impressive. So,
yeah, I'm sure navigating those laws is easy.
I'm sure it is.
By the way, I think, and I may be wrong, but I think, we've talked to Porch Beers, Keith and Coop. Is not Hoppin' Frog the place that they love the blueberry cobbler shandy or something that comes out that they go all the way there for when it comes
probably
out?
So.
I think it's Hoppin' Frog, if I remember.
Yeah, probably so. I didn't research before we started doing this podcast episode how many other breweries there are in the Akron area, but I would have to think that this one really stands out for people. So, and we were there on that Wednesday. I mean, we were there pretty early in the afternoon. I mean, it was probably about 3:00 in the afternoon or so, and there were already a few people in there. And the other thing we didn't get any. Well, actually, I did get something. I got a salad there because I was like in the middle of going, I need a little bit of food. I don't need anything heavy. You looked at me and like, when do you eat a salad? I'm like, well, usually at home, not necessarily at a brewery, but I
don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, you have. You've seen me eat salad before. Like grilled chicken or something. Normally, but I think we've been in Cincinnati for so many days, and we were eating out. It was like every night, like burgers and fries and all this. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? Can I just get like a salad? Yeah. Just give me something. So, but they have food there too. So anybody that's in that area or going through that area, stop at the Hoppin' Frog. I couldn't say enough nice things about them.
Yeah, totally. One last thing. When we got there, you're talking about the people that kind of showed up. They seem to be locals. Like everybody there just kind of seemed, when they showed up, they seem to be locals. They were there all the time, just talking to people. Like they'd been there a million times, which I thought was cool.
No, we were sitting next to a guy who was actually telling us he was coming to Memphis for some event in a few months, and was asking us about maybe some brewery recommendations in Memphis. And I was like, stop through Nashville too and get some beer in Nashville. But anyway, there you
go. Memphis has a few.
Memphis has a few. There you go. All right. So after we left Hoppin' Frog, so it was funny.
Onward we go.
The journey. So as we were leaving, I looked out and I said, Scott, the radar app is accurate. The rain has caught back up with us. We outran it for about an hour. There it is.
We had to run to the car.
We had to run to the car. Oh my God. Yeah. So our next stop was off to over just east of Cleveland to 11th3 Brewing. Mm-hmm. And do you know what city 11th3 Brewing is in?
I do. You're going to have to say, I'll cut this out. But yes, because I looked it up once, but I didn't write it down here. 11th3. Hang on. Brewing, because it's, okay. Yeah. 11th3 Brewing is in Chardon, Ohio.
Actually, the other day I went online to see how you pronounce it because I was embarrassed and I'm still not sure. I think it's Chardon, Ohio.
Chardon.
Okay. Yeah, it's a suburb of Cleveland.
Yep.
So if we get it wrong, we got it wrong. Everybody, we'll apologize.
Chardon. I'm gonna say Chardon. Yeah, so it's in a nice little town called Chardon, Ohio, Steve, which is, like you said, it's east of Cleveland. I don't know, 15, 20 minutes east of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Nice little place. Great brewery. We loved it.
Well, and our friends Keith, Crafty Good Beer, and Elizabeth, Pedalbound Brews, They live up in that area, and they had recommended. They were like, "You guys got to come here," because we were meeting up with them for a couple of days, and they were like, "You guys have got to come here."
Yeah,
Keith was pretty adamant. Like he was like, "You, this is on your list," and
it was mandatory. We were required to go.
It was requirement. He was like, "This is on the list. You are gonna love the owner. Well, you'll want to get him on the podcast." He was not kidding. That is very true. I think that this area is like their version of the Cheers bar because they knew everybody in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Great place. So we met Dave and Chelsea are the owners.
Yes.
Great people. They sat down and talked to us for a long time. You had a really good conversation with Dave, which probably was a podcast in itself.
Yeah,
I didn't get to hear all of it, but yeah.
Yeah, you were on the other end of the table, and he came over and sat down next to me, and I probably talked to him for like at least 20 minutes. And like I said, you probably could have put the microphone up to us.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed talking to him.
He's one of those guys, and we mentioned it when we were talking about esoteric was passion. Man, he really loved to talk about beer and what they're doing, and he's really passionate about it. And they're making really good stuff. We'd had a few before. I think we got sent cans before. But man, to go in there, we had some cool stuff. Just again, that passion. I love people talking about beer like that much. You can just tell the excitement and that they're loving what they're doing.
They are loving what they're doing. And I have to say that just last night I had one of the cans from Eleventhree Brewing that was given to me by our friends in Cleveland. I got I drank the Island Frequency, which was a New England hazy IPA at 8.5%. It was really good. Really enjoyed that. So they had, again, I went in there and I'm looking around and I'm like, wow, you guys have a lot of great beers to choose from. And I have to say, on a flight, I had the Magic Marshmallows. Again, another New England hazy IPA. They put marshmallows in the beer.
Marshmallows, as in like Lucky Charms marshmallows.
Like Lucky Charms?
Yes. And it's an IPA, which is cool, right? It was like a marshmallow IPA kind of.
That's a first for me. I've never had a marshmallow in a beer before. So, hey, shout out to 11-3 for that. But I also had their Patio Light New England IPA. I also had their Italian Pilsner. But I tell you, my absolute favorite was the Cherry Avenue sour fruited, which I think on an Instagram post I took a picture of when we posted a lot of different pictures. And of course, they are located on Cherry Avenue. So that would make sense, right?
Yeah. That was a great beer. When I had that beer, I was like, yeah, that's my favorite one of the day. It was wonderful. And I gave it a 4.2. You go back to the Italian Pilsner you were talking about. It's called Chow, which I love. That's a great name. East Side Motel was an IPA. Georgia Belle was a fruited sour I'd had. Patio Light. I mean, they had a coconut block party, which was a pastry stout. I mean, just again, another place that had multiple styles of stuff, and you enjoyed every single one of them. Like everything was good. By the way, service was awesome. We had a great waitress, and forgive me for not knowing her name. I mean, but the experience, again, another experience that we just enjoyed, and dude, we could have stayed there for 6 hours.
We really could. We could have stayed there for a long time. And the other one I checked in there was the Blood Orange Blackberry, which was another sour fruited that they had there that I really liked as well. But as you said, I mean, the owners, Dave, his wife Chelsea, I mean, they came over and they talked to us for a while, and I think we've even talked about trying to get them on the podcast at some point. And they're about to celebrate 2 years in business.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah, and it sounds like in that area, like they own that area as far as like there's not a whole lot of other breweries around there, so it's a great area that they, that people can come to, and experience, new craft beer. It's my understanding. I think didn't they say that that building used to be like an old mechanic's garage or something like that.
Yeah,
People
I think
came
so,
in
something like that.
Yeah, I love places like that. So yeah.
That were formerly something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wonderful spot. And they are passionate about coming on the podcast too. They're really excited about it. I think talking to, I think we're just at the point we're just trying to figure out maybe a date.
Yeah.
Or something. So you will hear from them and you're going to love them. Like, I wish,
yeah.
and if someone's listening to it, I hope they could, possibly have the beer at the same time, but you're going to love Dave and Chelsea. They're fantastic. And our friends, Keith and Elizabeth, said as much. When you meet them, you're going to love them and you're going to want them on the podcast. And
yeah.
Sure enough, they were
100%.
Like,
thank you very much.
Yes.
Well,
yeah,
and the other thing too is it's something I always love. I always love to ask like people whether if they're the owner or whatever. I ask him, I'm like, are you the guy that brews the beer? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm the guy. So he stands behind what he's brewing, and I'm like, dude, you are rocking it, man. You are absolutely rocking it. And I had one of their beers a few months ago when we did some beer exchanges that I really liked as well. So that was my first introduction a few months ago to one of their beers, and I was like, oh yeah, so I was glad that we put them on the list. There was a little bit of based on the amount of time that we're going to be up there, do we have time to get there?
Right.
Based on where we were staying, because we were staying in downtown Cleveland. But yeah, I'm glad that we were able to get there and spend a couple hours there that evening.
I am too. Like I said, it was required. So as much as we try to skip out on not going, that's a joke. We did. We totally
Yeah, that's a joke. That's a joke.
No, we totally, so glad we went. We're better for it. And you know what? I'm a little jealous of anyone that lives in that area who can go there regularly, because that would be a normal spot for me. That would be a regular hangout.
Yeah, no, definitely. So so that capped off a really good trip up there on that Wednesday. And then you know what? I didn't even write this down, but I do remember we went to a sports bar afterwards for some dinner. Do you remember the name of the place we went to?
I do. Burgers to Beer. Like,
thank you for saving me there, because I forgot to put it down.
Yeah, I actually have it because the only reason I even remember, because I had one beer there, so that's how I found it on tap. Yes, Burgers to Beer.
Now that I think about it, I did not. I don't think I rated that one in, or maybe I didn't count that, and I had to go back there too.
You got to go back there. It's another one adding to your total.
What was really funny is you and I both had the smash burger, and I thought we'd only gotten like a single, and they came out
single
and I'm
patty.
like, what? They killed the whole cow for this thing.
Yes, and they had a double patty on the menu, and I was like, I don't need that.
What the heck is going on here?
I know, they brought two anyway. But
the fact that they let me into a Cleveland sports bar after I rode them so hard up there after the Reds swept the Indians while we were in Cincinnati, and they still let me in, and everybody was so nice to me. I appreciate that. That's warms in my heart, man.
Look, you were spending money. They don't care.
I know.
They let a Yankee fan in too, so I mean, they don't like us much.
I know. Yeah. Well, you're not in the same division though, so
No. Right? Yeah.
Well,
all right.
Anyway,
you want to move on to like the burgers to beer?
Sure. Do what?
No, after, like, we're going to move on to like the Eleventhree thing.
Oh yeah.
From Eleventhree to burgers to beer. Okay, because that kind of finished the night right there.
Yeah. So yeah, so that was a great night, and we finished our night there. And I think, as I recall, when we were all leaving, we had to run out to our cars because why, Scott?
Oh, it was raining again. Jesus. Freaking rain all over the place.
Raining cats and dogs.
It could be worse. It could have been colder and it could have been snowing. So that's worse.
That phrase, that phrase, it could have been much worse. Oh, okay.
It could have been much worse. Anyway.
All right.
But when we left Eleventhree, we were hungry. We had to go eat.
That's right.
We had to go eat. And guess where we went? A place called Burgers to Beer.
Yes, Burgers to Beer.
Mm-hmm. Burgers to Beer, nice, cool little sports bar. We went and hung out at didn't stay long enough to have a burger.
That's did. Right. Had a burger, had the smash burger.
Had the smash burger. How many patties did you get in your single smash burger?
Well, I thought I was only getting one, but it more turned into like, is this the whole cow? What is going on here?
It was like, I can't even imagine getting the double smash burger. We'd still be there eating it.
That's okay. The theme for me on this trip was I probably ate too much, which I think you do when you're on a vacation. But, I was like, I got to keep up with my tolerance level a little bit because I don't want to go down.
I don't want to go down. You're not going to quit drinking. Right.
Yeah.
So the
I never went down.
Nope. Never went down.
Went down.
Cool spot. We didn't spend a lot of time. We had a beer and a burger and kind of ended the night, that first night that we were there. But a good full day, hence the drive, Akron, Eleventhree, the burger joint. It was time to call it.
It was time to call it, and then we were, you drove back.
Yeah, because there was another 30. Yeah, it was at least a 30-minute drive back. And I know I said earlier it was 15 to 20 minutes, but it was raining when we had to go back. Couldn't see. It was dark. And then trying to find the friggin' Airbnb downtown was not pleasant. It was not fun.
I remember
that. It's a story for another day that was getting a little frustrated.
I remember that. Yeah, we were staying at Airbnb right around near the ballpark. And it was a convenient location, just trying to get there and try to figure out where we're going to park and how we're going to get in.
Yeah, and which building is it? That was the big thing. What building is it?
Like,
it says it's right here. It says it's right here.
Don't they know who we are? Come on. Who are we and why are we here?
We made it.
We made it. Well, we got up on that Thursday, and that was May 22nd. And I know that we were extremely excited. We were, really in for the takeaway for the Cincinnati Takeover Edition trip and this trip. We're always excited to go to breweries. We're always excited to go to whether it's Rheingeist or Braxton on the last trip, Sonder, Listerman. I don't want to leave anybody out, and all the new ones that we did, and even on this trip as well. There were so many ones, but we honestly knew, and I know there's going to be people that are going to listen to this and they're going to make fun of us a little bit and going, can you guys talk up Great Lakes even more? Well, what do you want me to do? Okay. I mean, I literally, my expectation level for Great Lakes, I can't say it was exceeded necessarily because it was already on a very high scale anyway when I went in there. For me, and we'll talk about everything that we did when we got there, the only thing that would have made it better, maybe if somebody gave me like $1 million. No, I'm just kidding. It would have been cool how we timed it out, like when the owners were there. But we got in there, and it was probably about noon on that day. The experience, I mean, dude, you can understand why they have succeeded as a brewery. Because not only do they do great beer, they also, I mean, everybody there looks so happy to be there. I mean, everybody that was working there. I mean, it was raining cats and dogs. I know we're going to talk about rain more. It was raining cats and dogs outside. Everybody inside's like, hey, you know what? We love it. We're inside a brewery. We're having fun.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So going into it, it wasn't. We've had Great Lakes beer before.
Yes.
And we were already a fan. And then we get Michael on the podcast from Great Lakes. Times 10. Right now we're 10 times the fans we were before.
Yes.
Because he was just so great. Not even just because it was Great Lakes, because he was so great. And we liked him so much. And then he's the reason we added days on and went to Cleveland to go to Great Lakes for this thing. So we were not disappointed in any way when we got to Great Lakes. It fit the bill. It lived up to expectations. It was amazing. Like we got to meet Michael, and we We got a tour of the place. Scott gave us, I think he was a tour guide there, gave us like a personal kind of tour, took us upstairs, took us downstairs into the basement. The food menu, we had lunch there, was amazing. We had beer that was only available in the tap room.
I was so happy about that.
Isn't it so cool? The place is beautiful. The bar, the youngest part of the bar is 100 years old.
Yeah.
It goes back 120 years plus, like the bar itself, like the mahogany part. And like, it's everything in the place is wonderful. They had just done some upgrades in the brewery. Like they refurbished like the patio area the inside patio area, that little area. The menu was completely redone. They had updated some things throughout the brewery. It was spectacular.
It was, yeah.
Like, I don't get excited about brewery tours much anymore because you and I'm not knocking anyone, but I'm saying, breweries, this was amazing. Like this was a brewery tour you get excited about.
Not only do they embrace the history of the building, they embrace the history of their beer. I mean, go online, but you can look at like the history of like what they named their beer after, like Elliot Ness and Edmund Fitzgerald, and they'll take you through the brewery and they'll talk about the history of that, and then how it ties in to their beer. Like even on the the beginning of this podcast when I just talked about this barrel aged blackout stout, which is really good, by the way. There's history behind every beer that they do. I mean, it's such a great marketing tool, but they do everything right. And Michael shows up and he starts talking to us, and he's got his Brewery Underground podcast t-shirt on.
How great was that? He goes, I got the review. We're going to do the review when you guys got here. It was, yes, he had our shirt on.
And we're going to get him back on the podcast at some point.
That's coming.
To talk about a whole lot of different things, with us, I'm sure, again, and we look forward to that. And the other thing, we didn't put him on the spot, but he knew of the petition drive, buddy.
Petition.
The petition drive.
I go, hey, we started a petition. And he goes, we know, we've seen it. We've seen it. So, which is good. So we've caught their attention.
Yes.
We got to keep the pressure on. And the pressure is just a demand to get Great Lakes beer in Tennessee. That's all we want. We are fans and consumers first and foremost. We want their beer here because we like it. We want to consume it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we can do better than Indiana's doing. I can probably promise you that.
Well, I said this on the way back home. I said, if by chance it'll eventually happen, when we get Great Lakes into Tennessee, I want to be following the truck that delivers it. Can we do like an Instagram live? Like the excitement level, here we are. I want to do like play-by-play of here's the truck. Here's the Great Lakes beer.
The first Great Lakes beer in Tennessee is being unloaded as we speak.
We would love it.
We should also be the first ones to drink it.
I agree with that. Yeah. I'll happy to haul a box in. I don't care.
You're gonna help move move them in.
Here's the first box coming in of Great Lakes beer. No, I said this on a previous podcast. I said, when I started really getting into craft beer, 15 years ago, and I would be up in Ohio, I would see their beer and I would get some of the ones we just talked about, Elliot Ness and Edmund Fitzgerald and everything else, and loved every single one of them.
Yeah, Dortmunder. Like I had Dortmunder Gold before, and I had it again at the brewery, and it's just, man, you just reminded of how good that stuff is, and that's like one of their OGs. By the way, great episode that we did that people should listen to. If they listen to this, go back and listen to that episode because it was wonderful. And when we're talking about how great Lakes was and how we were fans of the beer before we even had Michael on. When we did the research for that podcast, that got me even more excited because we learned about the history of the buildings, and like there's a bullet hole in the bar that apparently maybe Elliot Ness was shot at. We maybe that's the rumor.
Yeah.
I think it's been confirmed that he didn't actually maybe shoot because he didn't carry a gun with him off duty, but he might have been shot at. So cool stuff like that. And there's great pictures around too, right? We saw a lot of cool pictures and old artwork and stuff in the place too. It's just a wonderful experience. And we were treated extremely well by everyone in there. Not that we wouldn't have been anyway, but the all around experience. I'm going to say this. My favorite brewery of the trip, from start to finish, from day one to the last day, my favorite brewery, hands down, no disrespect to anybody else, but it was Great Lakes by far.
I was actually thinking about this the other day, and it may be a different podcast episode, because I started thinking about all of the breweries that we went to on this trip and the new ones we checked in, and I thought, what would I rate? Like my top 10? I mean, we went to more than 10, but I'm like, if we love our top 10s, and I'm like, if I rated my top 10 brewery list, I would almost have to put Great Lakes off to the side. And then, look, guys, I mean, again, we have friends that are probably going to be like, you guys are Great Lakes or whatever. It was just that great experience. I would have to put Great Lakes in a different category, because I just feel like they belong in a different category based on everything that they've accomplished, based on everything they do. When we when we went back to Louisville on the way back home, and we met up with the Hill Tappers again. I remember telling Tom, I said, Great Lakes to me, I mean, even if you didn't like craft beer, you would like going into that place and appreciating the history and the food and everything else that goes along with it. So, yeah, I don't know what else I can say other than thank you, Great Lakes.
It's look, this might get us in controversy. The place is perfect. I mean, it's perfect. It's the experience you want when you go into a brewery. And look, we were high on Great Lakes going into it anyway, but man, it didn't disappoint. And this won't be the last time you hear the words Great Lakes come up on this podcast.
No, won't you be like, what?
Especially as we push them to come to Tennessee, because
come on to Tennessee, guys. We would love it. Well, we can't escape talking about Great Lakes and not talk about some of the beer that we had. I do also want to mention that Michael had given us the beer that I'm drinking tonight, but he also gave us some of the. I'm having allergies tonight, so if I'm coughing, hold on. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. He also gave us some of their Cold Rush Premium Light Lager.
Yeah,
which I had a couple of nights ago. Pretty good in the can.
It's really good. It's a really nice crushable beer. Yep, that you can only buy in that area, by the way.
Yep, absolutely. So some of the other beers when we were there, we actually did get a chance to drink some beer. I got a flight there. All of these I love. The Mexican lager with lime. The favorite of the day was the Return of the Lake Erie Monster Double IPA, which I love that name. I really love that one. I also had their Easy Buckets Blonde, the Rally Drum Lemon Shandy, and Conway's Irish Stout. A good series on a flight, and really enjoyed them all.
The Return, the one you just talked about, what was that called again? So,
the Return of the Lake Erie Monster.
So the Return of the Lake Erie Monster is not the original Lake Erie Monster. This is the double IPA, which is like 9 or 9.5%. Yeah, so it's like a stronger version of the original, which is really cool. Yeah, I had a Your Hot Honey. That was the name of the beer. Your Hot Honey. Honey beer made with local honey infused with hot peppers for a sweet and spicy flavor, and it was delicious. Like you didn't really get a lot of the heat. It was just kind of there. I think the honey kind of offset it. Taproom exclusive, by the way. You can only get it there.
All right.
The Easy Buckets is a Cleveland Cavaliers collab.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, that's a Cleveland. And then, of course, I had Dortmunder, which just revisit that any chance you get. It's the classic OG, and it's wonderful. Gold medal winning. And I had the Conway's Irish Stout, which I had for the first time. I can't believe I hadn't had it before. It surprised me, but I have had it now, and everything was just immaculate.
Yeah, everything was. Everything was. So thank you, Great Lakes. The only bummer of the day, again, this goes back to the weather. We didn't.
That we had to leave?
No, well, yeah. Okay, two things. We had to leave. We didn't have to leave. It wasn't like anyone was forcing us out of there. But
I know.
Get out,
they were
get
probably
out.
Getting a little tired of us. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, get the heck out. We have enough of you. But we didn't take that many pictures outside because it was raining cats and dogs outside. And so, yeah.
But it was a crummy weather day. And by the way, okay, so I have opened up this barrel aged Imperial Amber.
Ooh.
Lager aged in bourbon barrels by Great Lakes 35th anniversary. See that?
Nice can, yeah.
Yeah. 12.1%. So I've been saving this for this podcast. I have another beer down here. It's actually, which probably won't get to today, but Bourbon Barrel Rye, limited barrel aged series, Asian bourbon barrels, 11.6%. So thank you, Michael, because he hooked us up with these.
Yes, thank you, Michael. I have another one in my refrigerator as well, and I'm not drinking on this podcast tonight because I'm just not. But I will be drinking it.
Because you want to get to the end?
I want to get to the end. That's right. But all good stuff. So we were at Great Lakes for a couple of hours, and then we ventured back out. We went to a place called the Market Garden Brewery, which was not that far from Great Lakes. And by the way, for people that are wondering, you've not been to Cleveland, Great Lakes is almost centered in the downtown area, so not far from the ballpark and over in that area for the Cleveland Guardians. So again, go over there. But we went to Market Garden Brewery. It wasn't a place we stayed all that long, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, and you talked to a couple of people there, it's a fairly new place though, right?
Yeah. There's something about Market Garden where they own some other things, maybe some other breweries, or have some other locations around. This was the Irish Town Bend Tap Room. And really the only reason we went in is we parked in that parking lot.
Yeah.
And we had to go back to the car for whatever reason. And then we're like, well, let's just go into here because it's literally 5 steps away. And we went in, and I think even Keith and Elizabeth said that tap room hasn't been there, or maybe they brewed there, but you couldn't go in there and get beer or whatever. So
okay,
but we went. Cool. We talked to them that we threw a card down and some stickers, and might hear them on the podcast down the road. But yeah, a pleasant experience and something that we didn't even expect. It was kind of like a little addition, and it just happened to be right there where we were. So like a little bonus beer is what we got.
Little bonus beer. I think we only saved for one beer I had there. Japanese rice lager, which I liked. I'm always on the lookout for a good Japanese rice lager, and they had one. So, certain Market Garden Brewery looks like a place. One of the notes I took is, you went around the place, you go upstairs as well. This looks like it has a lot of potential for a lot, big space. I can really see them becoming in the future a big player in the area. So hope a lot for them.
Yeah, that whole upstairs looked like a big event space or something. I don't know, but it was massive. Even downstairs was big too, and that was kind of more the tap room. Upstairs was something else completely. It looked like, but it was awesome. You had a rice lager. I had a dark lager, which to find those two in one place is pretty rare, right? A rice lager and a dark lager at the same time.
That is true. Yeah.
Really good, really nice people, really nice place, and the beer was really good. We only stayed for the one, but I would recommend going there, and I would go back.
Yes.
And like you said, it is really close to. I mean, it's downtown, so it's really close to where Great Lakes was, and that was a kind of a stopping off point before we went to our next place, which wasn't far away either.
Well, and I have another weather update because I remember this. We were standing out. I like weather nerds. Like, what is going on with Steve and all the weather? I remember we were standing at the door and we were going to go out to the car. And Keith and I were sitting there talking. And Keith looks at the rain. And it's coming down like horizontally at this point. And he's like, you've heard of like, what do they call that? The lake effect snow. This is lake effect rain. You know what it looked like to me almost the entire time we were up there with the rain? It kind of reminded me that in Nashville, when we get during hurricane season and you get the after effect of a hurricane and it comes in and for like 2 days, you look outside and all the rain is just like horizontal. It's not just coming down and, like it's just not coming down straight. It's like, what the heck is going on here? That was 2 days in Cleveland. I think it was lake effect rain, and it was going in every different direction. It was kind of crazy. It was kind of funny though.
if anybody is a Family Guy fan, you know how they do the cutaway sometimes, and they cut away to the weather guy, and he goes, "It's raining sideways," and they go right back to whatever they do. That's exactly what it was.
It's raining sideways.
It's raining
now
sideways.
Back to you.
It was that. It was nuts. Yeah. But thank God we could drink inside because we weren't swayed.
We were not. We were not. Well, we know there's a lot of great breweries in Cleveland, but the two in Cleveland certainly that were on our list. We knew we were going to get the Great Lakes. We wanted to get the Masthead. We've had their beer before. We know Masthead is a really, really good brand in Cleveland, and they did not disappoint as well. They're again in the downtown area. I basically described this very large brewery. Keith and Elizabeth, they spoke so highly of this place. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've talked about the number of times that they've come into town. They've sat outside. They've enjoyed the beer. We couldn't sit outside this day. Okay, Steve, shut up about the rain. I'm done. I'm done talking about the rain. I promise. But anyway, we had a great time. But my point is, I could honestly see that because they have an extremely large tap list, an extremely large indoor space, the outdoor space where you could sit outside for hours and hours and look. You could probably get there like 1:00 in the afternoon and get a lot of beer on the tap room list and go, it's 7 or 8 o'clock. We've been here that long. I could see that. I could really see that.
That's another one that they're familiar with so much that when they go in there, they're familiar and know the bartenders on a first name basis.
Mm-hmm.
If I lived up that way, that would be a place I would frequent also, and would be the same way because the place is awesome. The bar is huge with seating all the way around the bar. Huge, giant picnic tables behind. There's so much seating in the place, and the place is so spacious. And the beer is fantastic. Like you said, we've had some of it before we ever got there, which is why it was high on our list. And rightly so. I mean, another place that has, I should stop saying it because every place seems to have a bunch of different styles anymore. That's the thing. You just have to anymore at this stage.
One thing I really noticed about Masthead is they have really, honestly and truly, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but for a very big brewery and a big tap list, they have a lot more IPAs on their tap room list than a lot of other breweries do. I know that's something I really noticed.
Yeah, and now we're IPA guys, and you're growing as an IPA guy even more every single day. I've been an IPA guy in terms of like some others other than the West Coast for a long time, but it's just something I really noticed where I was like, lot of IPAs here, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's good, and they had some high ABV stuff too on there. I mean, I had one. I think I had 2 flights. There was one, and I had it in a can before. I had a version of it in a can before. They call it like single origin coffee. Yeah. But this was single origin coffee stout espresso.
Okay.
Which I was a little scared of. Not scared in the fact that it was going to be heavy, but the fact that I thought it might be too sweet.
Yeah.
Delicious. Perfect. I mean, great. That a Doppelbock. I got another one in the fridge. I have the estate grown. It's what I started with today. They had a pale ale. They had a lager. They did have a bunch of stuff, but you're right. They heavy on the IPAs, which I love, but the place is fantastic. And if you're in the Cleveland area and you're going to get 2 places, I'm sure there are more. We haven't been to them. Great Lakes 1, Masthead 2, and I'm not. Like if you're right in Cleveland, those two places you got to go to.
Yeah, you mentioned the estate grown. I had that, and I rated that a 4 on Untapped, and I really love that. I had their Superior Wit, which is a wheat beer. I like that one. The Tire Swing, a pale
Oh
ale.
yeah.
There's Zumo Wrestler, which
I did like that name.
Yeah, a West Coast IPA. I did rate that a 3.75. And then I had, because, it seems like one of the themes on this trip, I've been on the lookout for West Coast IPAs the entire trip, but also on the lookout for anyone out there that has a Mexican lager. Mm-hmm. And they had one, and it was fantastic as well.
Was that the C Cerveza?
Yes.
Yeah. You know what's funny? They call it a pale lager, which was a Mexican lager, but a pale lager, I guess it's just a classification. But yes, dude, that had to be the 6th or 7th Mexican lager we've had on the trip at that point.
Oh, at least,
not
yeah.
More.
Yeah.
I mean, we're crushing it everywhere we went that somebody had one.
Yeah, I think it's a great time of year for them, Yeah. Everybody has one out, and it's always good to see. It's always good to see, not necessarily to compare breweries to see, hey, what's your Mexican lager like, or what's your West Coast IPA like? It's just cool to see, like, when you go into these places, just to try different variations to see how they are and how much you might like them and what exactly you may like about a certain style that they do that maybe a different brewery doesn't do, or, vice versa,
Yeah, no doubt. And the fact that they have those on there, again, we saw that Mexican lager many times. We went, oh, there it is again. Let's get it. Yes, let's continue this thing. We'll just keep trying them everywhere we go. No, and I think Liz said it on the last podcast, it's a trend.
It is.
And it's probably more of this time of year is the trend, but
it is. Well, I think it's a good tasting beer. We've talked about this so much that these breweries know that people that drink craft beer, or even if you don't necessarily like craft beer, but you're just looking for a good lager, and especially this time of the year as we're now, heading into summer, a good Mexican lager is what you really want. I mean, you're not looking for something, that has a whole lot of, I'm drinking a stout tonight inside my house, but I wouldn't be drinking this probably in, 95-degree heat. But a good Mexican lager, yes, I'm going to drink that. And, it's like various locations that we did at the stop. If you're outside in the summertime and you're like, give me a good Mexican lager. So, that's how that is.
We'd had so many, we kept asking the question, did you get a lime on your taster? Because some would and some wouldn't. Even on the taster, if you got a lime, it was a win.
I know. Have you put the lime in or not? So.
Did you get the lime? Matter of fact, going back when we were at Mad Tree at Cincinnati, like we had gotten the Mexican lager, and Tom got a Mexican lager, and he didn't get a lime. And I said, "Go back and get the lime." And he went back inside and got the lime on his.
It's
you got to have the full experience.
It is funny the things you sometimes pay attention to, and now that you have brought that to my attention even more, now maybe I will pay attention to that more. Sometimes I'm more like, just give me the beer so I can drink it because I'm going to enjoy it. They're like, oh yeah, but the lime is going to stand out a little bit more because it is a Mexican lager.
It's a Mexican lager, and if you get a pint, you're probably going to get the lime automatically. If you get a taster, it's not automatic that you're getting the lime, but when you got it, it was a win.
It is a win. All right.
It is.
So after Masthead, we had one last place to go for the night, and it was a couple blocks over. This was our last stop at a place called Noble Beast Brewing. And I got to tell you, I really love the character of this place. It appears to be an older building, several blocks over from Masthead. We weren't there for maybe, an hour and a half or whatever. We got some food there as well. I even took this out. I'm like, I enjoyed the roast beef sandwich.
Yeah.
And
we walked in, dude. It was busy as shit in there. We had to wait a little bit, not long. We had to wait, but it was busy. Like, when you see a place that busy, it's good, whether it's the food or the beer. Like, it was hopping, and rightly so.
It was hopping, and I had a good hopping beer and the Evil Motives IPA. So that, yes, thank you. You see what I did there? That was a really good beer. Now for me, and you could talk about what you want to talk about in a minute, but you did something to me that was really funny, and we have to give a shout out to our friend Ashley Brudette in West Virginia. I had just walked out of the bathroom, and you had gotten them on the phone because there were a group of them. They were in San Diego.
Yeah.
Ashley, Nick, Joe,
his wife, Yvette,
who lived in Hawaii. They were in San Diego, but it was our friend Ashley. It was her birthday, and I just walked out of the bathroom, and you said, "Here, sing happy birthday to her." And I thought like a group of us were going to, and the next thing I know, I'm the one singing happy birthday to her, which I think I more worded it than actually sang it.
But it was great. We have it on video. I've not.
There's a video out there. Yeah, there's always a video of everything. Yeah.
Well, I haven't posted it, but the video exists. But yes, it's funny because we're sitting there and we just and they called, like it did like a video call.
Yeah.
And we couldn't hear them, right? It was loud in there. We couldn't hear. We're kind of making out what the gist of the thing was, and I go, and we knew it was a birthday because she had posted something on social media, and then it was like, hang on, here comes Steve. He'll sing happy birthday to you. And they could hear us and they could hear you. We couldn't hear them, but it went over quite well from what I understand. You did a great job.
Well,
it was more like a poetic reading. It was more like a poetry reading the way you did. It was very well done.
I suppose because nobody wants to hear me sing.
Well, you're a poet and didn't know it.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, your continued thoughts on Noble Beast Brewing.
Yeah, Noble Beast was great. Walked it. We were all kind of fading. You could tell. We did have to eat. They had some good wings. I got the wings. We really liked the waiter that came out and was waiting on us. Like, he was really cool. We had a good conversation with him. The funny thing was I had the Vienna lager and I was going back through Untapped to do research for this. And I think I even texted you and like, Steve, did we only have one beer at Noble Beast? Like, because I do this a lot. When I'm eating, I stop drinking, and then when I'm done eating, I'll go back drinking again. So it's very feasible. We only had one beer at this brewery, which is, but not because we were there for a short time. We were eating. I think we were all just kind of fading, and
it was like one of them things. It was later. Yeah. And
I think they were kind of ready to go, and like, oh, okay, so it was fine, and I think it was welcome because we had to leave the next day anyway. But it was a really great. Again, another bonus spot I think for us to go to that maybe we wouldn't have scripted or had written down, but another cool spot we got to see. And I think I would say that's where a lot of the locals go. For as busy as it was, I would totally say that's a good spot locally.
Yeah, definitely.
And we got to So
I would say
awesome spot. So go to Noble Beast, and the food was really good.
And the food was really good. Everything was good. And that really wrapped up our Cleveland trip. But there is something that I have to talk about. And this is going to sound a little gooberish. So for people that maybe, it depends. If you're a baseball fan and you remember the movie Major League, if you don't, you're not going to get this. But if you do, Major League was basically a baseball movie about the Cleveland Indians. Sorry, not Guardians, but Indians. And Bob Uecker was the announcer for, the play-by-play guy. We had so many Bob Uecker references when we were in Cleveland. And one of them, the Bob Uecker, he always just say, "Let me hear you, Cleveland." And maybe that's an inside joke. But every time we went past the ballpark and we were in Cleveland, we kept doing that. Do you remember that? It's like, "Let me hear you, Cleveland." And I don't know if people that live in Cleveland, they probably don't do that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really funny.
But it's a tour, yeah. You totally get it. Well, look, our Airbnb was a block away from it. So we saw it. As a matter of fact, the next morning we got up to go to Columbus. I got up because we had Cleveland City parking on the street. I had to move the car ultimately to a different parking spot on the street. And while I was out, I got coffee and I said, I'm just going to walk over here to Progressive Field, which literally was a block away. And I did walk around the outside. It wasn't open, obviously, but I walked around and got a lot of pictures around it. And the park is right there. It's cool. It was neat to see. You know, we love baseball, and I got to see a park up close and took some pictures, and that was like another little bonus. I mean, it was Cleveland, but I'm gonna cut that part out. But I had to get. But no, it's cool to see the ballpark up close. I got to walk around and just take some pictures and stuff before we headed out that morning.
Yeah, I know. It just cracked me up, and I probably sound like a tourist now, somebody that comes into Nashville and they go town. Hey, I'm at Kid Rock's bar. I'm at Jason Aldean's bar on Broadway. I'm living. Yeah, I know. We know. And I just thought it was so funny. Every time we went past there, it was kind of like it was, if you go back to the movie Major League, and there were so many different things, like Bob Uecker, who was the play-by-play guy, and it was like, let's hear it for Cleveland. It's one of those things. Good. I think it's one of those things that maybe you had to be there, in the car with us, but it was really funny. So
it was funny. We were in the moment.
All right. So that wrapped up our fun Cleveland trip. We got up the next morning, and we got up the next morning, and that was on that Friday. That was May 23rd. And we were going to head to Columbus. Now, this is going to be my last reference to the weather. I promise.
Okay.
We got up that morning, and I look around. I'm like, oh, yeah, now it's starting to clear up. The rain's starting to part. I'm starting to see the sunshine. Thank you, Cleveland. It's your fault.
Yes. Yeah. We were also to blame for bringing the weather in.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, when we were in Cincinnati, we had 3 great days. 3 of the 5 days were pretty great too. So
we did. We even drove
not our
all
fault.
The rain away from the ballpark that night.
Yes.
All right. So we went to Columbus, and our first stop in Columbus. Would you like to say this together? 3, 2, 1. Hoof Harden.
And please check out our social media post about that brewery, because Steve's video at the end has me laughing my ass off. Where are we? Hoof Harden. How do you spell it? You spell it the way it's spelled, or you spell it the way it sounds.
Oh my gosh.
It's great, because even Tom asked us from Hilltappers earlier in the week. He goes, "Is Hoof Hearted just like a brand, like a label, like just a marketing thing?" And I go, "No, it's really good shit.
It's really good. Yeah,
it's really good beer, and it is a play on words, and it's a really great play on words, and they own it."
You had been before, right?
I'd been to that one and the downtown location.
Okay, so this was my first experience at Hoof Hearted. I actually had their stickers that you brought back to me a while back, but so we went to the place that is north of Columbus. So this is not in downtown Columbus. I think this was in around Delaware. Is that right?
No,
around that area?
It's actually Marengo. Yeah, it's probably around that area. Yeah, because the other place we went to was Delaware. This is Marengo.
Okay.
Which we actually drove by on the way into Columbus. We made a stop, and then we went back out because they weren't open yet, but we went back out that way.
Okay.
Marengo.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and basically it's in the middle of an area where there's like a lot of farmland and stuff like that. I mean, you go in there, they have pinball machines, random artwork of wrestlers like Andre the Giant and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah. Like 80s stuff, like 80s theme type stuff.
80s theme stuff, yes. Yeah. So it was really cool. I mean, the beer was great. What I loved about the beer, I enjoyed the beer, but I always love a brewery that really gets into like fun beer names. Like you don't really know why it is that they've come up with this kind of thing, but like, okay, so here's a couple that I had. We go back to Mexican lagers. I had the heartbreaking Motor Drive Mexican lager, which I really liked. I had something else called Don't Microwave It, Don't Boil It with Raspberry, an IPA sour. I had a lager called Since I Came Late, I may as well leave early.
I subscribe to that.
I had another one called This Beer Could Be Named After Me. And then, of course, to round it out, I had It's 5 o'clock somewhere, or somehow. It's 5 o'clock somehow. Excuse me. It's 5 o'clock somehow IPA. And then the other one was the Thanks for Letting Us Play Tonight Pale Ale. So, I mean, what a fun place. What a very interesting place.
Interesting place. Outside they had these, I don't know if you'd call them teepees or just some outside buildings with the front of them were just kind of open. And we learned that they're actually heated. We knew they were lit. You could light them up at night, but they were heated out there too. Maybe one day we'll get to try them, but kind of a cool spot. You could drink beer outside in like this little teepee kind of thing, this clear thing. They had a nice, really big patio, which I've never sat on because it's either been night or cold or rainy like we experience. And then apparently there's some kind of walking trail, like the head of the walking trail is there too. So people can walk and start from there and walk around too. Awesome place. I had a beer called Who'd Like to Hold My Clipboard, which is it's some kind of series, but this one was like a double IPA with pineapple puree, vanilla, marshmallow, and milk sugar in an IPA.
Wow, I'm telling you what.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the same thing as you do. Well, since I came in late, I might as well leave early. And thanks for letting us play. And I did pints there, but wonderful place. Not just for the name. The name might bring you in. And I will say this, and I don't remember each one of these. I do know from experience that Hoof-hearted ABVs on some of their beers start at like 8.5 and 9. So be careful because they're all delicious and they won't taste like they're 8.5 and 9%. But they will get you. Not that they're all that way, but man, they have a lot of them that way.
Yeah.
They will get you if you don't pay attention. You'll wake up next morning like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Hoof-hearted happened. So just be careful. But they are delicious, and I love the place. And the downtown location is similar. A little more trendy, a little smaller, not rural, but awesome. The decor in there is cool, too. It's a little different decor, but it still has an 80s theme to it. It's like the cool 80s, if there's such a thing. They have it. So really awesome place. And I'm glad I wanted you to go. I want to make sure you got there. And that was a priority. So when we got to Columbus, that I took you there.
Oh my gosh. I mean, of the whole trip, of the Cincinnati trip, of the entire trip, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus, Akron, Louisville, Hoof-hearted was definitely a big highlight. And the other thing, and we see this so many times at breweries, they also have a food truck outside.
Yeah, well. They did. Yep. Here's the other thing. We talked about the artwork and the, in the place. The artwork on the cans is really cool too. Like it looks like it's hand drawn, kind of 80s. Like there's some wrestling themes going on some of them. I know one of them has Hulk Hogan. I forget which beer it is. It's a rendition of Hulk Hogan putting the Iron Sheik in a camel clutch. Like there's like a lot of that stuff. So it's really cool. It's a great experience, and everyone should go and just get the beer because we've had the beer even outside of the brewery, and it's good stuff. And they're going to be around a while.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah. Yep. Well, that with that is our take on Hoof-hearted, because I know you like hearing me say that, and we after that our next venture was a place called the Henmick Farm Brewery.
Yes.
And this is interesting. Go ahead. So
the reason we chose the Hoof-hearted location, Marengo versus downtown, is because Henmick Farms was not. It's also rural, and it was near that Hoof-hearted location, so it kind of worked out. So continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, no, we were heading there. And you're driving, and I look over, and I'm like, am I seeing things? I don't think I've drank that much. And we go past this house at a little farm area, and I'm like, Scott, I'm not sure, but I think we just passed a place that has a camel. Maybe. Now, I am not like, I didn't grow up on a farm. Maybe I'm not the biggest expert on what certain things look like when it comes to animals. I mean, go to the zoo, and I'm like, is that a llama? Is that a camel? And you said we gotta turn around and go look again. And I'm like, okay, I think it was a camel. I mean, I You don't normally see camels running around, at least not here in Nashville. I will tell you, the last couple of days in the area in which I live, there has been a zebra on the loose. Have you heard about that, by the way?
No.
Oh yeah.
So camel's not that far fetched.
No, that's a quick story. So in the area I live south of Nashville, there has actually been, you can go look at it, go Google it when we're done here. There has been a zebra on the loose, and it was got so close to I-24 south of me, I think yesterday, the day before, where they had to shut I-24 down.
Oh my God.
Because they were afraid that this zebra was going to run onto the interstate, and they think maybe somebody had purchased a zebra or something. I don't know. So anyway, going back to people are like, what? No, I haven't been drinking that much. There's an actual zebra running.
Why didn't they just flush the zebra down the toilet like they do? I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, going back to the camel, you said we gotta drive back and take a picture of it. Like, we don't really have to, but you said, yeah, let's do it. So we drove back and we went past it. We took a picture, and we did confirm with a couple people that live in the area. It was an actual camel.
And not just one. They had multiple camels. They had camels with one hump. They had camels with two humps. They had multiple camels just roaming around their yard. I don't know what for.
I don't know what for either. But you know what? The thing I'm most proud about is that I thought at first it was a camel. I mean, I know I have been drinking a little bit at Hoof, but I haven't been drinking so much that I didn't recognize that's a camel.
I spy with my little eye a camel.
I'm telling you.
And you knew it was a camel. And rightly so. I'm glad we turned around, because we might have been talking about was it or wasn't it. Oh, it's confirmed. There were camels.
It's confirmed. It's a camel in that area.
In rural Ohio.
In rural Ohio. All right, there you go. All right, so on to
on the way to Henmick Farm and Brewing, her brewery.
So you have been there before, correct?
Yeah, I've been a couple times, and they take us out there because we've got family in the area. They love the place, and we love going, and it's such a great spot. It is rural. It really, though, was only 20 minutes. I mean, the family that we stayed with, they live in Lewis Center, and it was only 20 minutes, so it wasn't really that far outside of town.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, just beautiful place. It is a family-owned farm. The people that own the brewery now have owned the land. The family has owned the land for like 100 years or something, multiple, for a long time. So it's still in the family, and it's been a real farm. It's done different things along the way, with animals and dairy and all sorts of things. But I think they just decided, hey, we're going to build a brewery out here and have people come. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful, right? The buildings are great. Big giant, I don't know if you call them barns or what, but it just looks like a farm from the outside.
Well, it does. And, we got there, and it was probably, I don't even remember, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock on Friday evening that we got there. And it was a little chilly that night. I mean, we go in there for any standards. I mean, I think it was probably, that night, it was probably going down to maybe the upper 40s or something. And we get out, we go in there, and like, well, this place is already crowded, and they're already crowded on the inside. There was a band that was going to be playing that night. And so we went outside, and we sat outside for, just a little bit. And tap room, I mean, really big. They have a big tap menu. They also had some food trucks. I got some food there that night as well, thank God. And but
well, they had stuff like, I mean, they had full cocktails too. Like, you could get wine, and you could get a cocktail, and you could get their beer and stuff, and it was really great. And as big as the place is, it was full inside, and I think a lot of it had to do with that band. There was a live band inside, which I'm told typically is outside, but again, the weather kind of drove them inside, so it took up some seating. So yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but I enjoyed the Ohio Pale Ale there that night, and their German Pilsner. I mean, it was such a really good time. I enjoyed it, and I think the overall theme of the entire brewery trip, whether it was in Cincinnati or Cleveland, is that almost everywhere we went, we talk about brewery experiences all the time. Every place is different. I mean, I don't think I've ever been to a place that basically is a farm. And we asked, we were talking about if you went to this Henmick farm, if you went there, in like the middle of June on a Friday or Saturday night, sitting out, it's 80 degrees. It is. Why would you want to leave?
Right.
You could just sit out there until they close and just have a really good time. Just enjoy the night. Just enjoy the sunset coming down. Just enjoy. And it's my understanding too, I guess, a lot of times if it's not cold, what they have the band that's outside.
Yeah, they'll have it outside so that they're not using up space inside. And then, it's a little loud inside because the band was there. But yeah, exactly. That as big as that outside area was, and it was huge. They had fire pits kind of scattered around too, which they were taken up because it was chilly, and we kept chasing the sun as we were outside to make sure we stayed to get a little bit of warmth. But yeah, like you said, if it's 80 degrees and you're sitting out there on a nice cool night and just listening to music and drinking beer, man, what else could you imagine that's any better than that?
That is very true. And you talk about that sitting out with the fire pits. I had a big malfunction on this trip. I did not pack enough warm clothes. I was like, oh yeah, I'll be okay. Maybe the shorts, maybe one pullover, maybe one pair of jeans, and then
some of it was the mix. Like it wasn't. Even when it rained, it wasn't cold, but you were like, is it shorts and long sleeve t-shirt weather? There's somewhere in between. We got to find this balance.
What the heck is going on here? Yeah.
What's happening? Yeah. No, but it worked out. Oh, by the way, there was a cat at the Henmick too. There's a farm cat that went around. He was very friendly, and every farm should have a cat like this.
Is that like the farm brewery cat that runs around, just kind of hanging out?
Yeah. He just hopped up. I don't know if you saw him. No, first time I see him, but he just hopped up on the table. He was like, because the kids were chasing him around. I think he was like, let me escape these kids. Save me. Let me hop up on this table where they can't get to me.
Can somebody take me away?
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful place to be and look at, and just again, visually, just to be able to look out there and sit out there is just it's nice. It's just a nice place to go.
Yeah, no, as I said I said earlier, I'm like, of all the places that we went to, and even places that I've gone to in the past, I'm like, I don't know if I've ever gone to a brewery like that one. It's on a farm, and I mean, I don't even think that night I even got the best perspective of things, because if you go back there like this time of the year in June, July, August, September, or whatever, you would probably walk in there and you're like, oh my God, that place in the warmer months, you probably have to get out there at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Otherwise, you're not going to get in there,
Right. Brian and Lori even say like they might go out there on a Friday night or a Saturday after work and just go out and just hang out and just just sit out there and just have a nice time. Listen to music and just do that. So you mentioned this. Every place we've been, almost every brewery we've ever been to on our Sullivan and Turon brewery adventures, they are all different. This is what makes the brewery adventures great. And Keith and Coop can talk to this, and the Hill Tappers can talk to this, and all these people that go to different breweries all the time. Joel, they're all unique, and that's the experience. Some do a little this and some do a little bit of that, but man, they're all cool experiences, even if it's a small place or a big place. They're all cool. We talked before about what our favorite breweries are and kind of what that criteria is. It's different. It's different for everybody. It's not just the beer is good or the experience. It's all the things combined makes a good brewery visit.
It is, and I was actually thinking about this. You know, we always talk about the Untapped app, and when we were at the Hill Tappers, you know, our buddy Brad kept saying the Sully scale. What's the Sully scale when it comes to, you know, beer? And I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, when it comes to breweries, I don't think it would be like a scale like you have on Untapped. It would almost be like, what would you rate like an A plus, a B, a C, a D? You know, I mean, we probably wouldn't talk about the place that we rated D. There's probably not that many.
No,
but you know, because we're not negative like that. But I'll tell you, man, you know, I sit there and go, yeah. I mean, there are places that I've gone over the years consistently, and I go, maybe I go in there, and maybe the beer at that particular time is, I don't want to say subpar, but maybe it's like a B. But the freaking space is like an A plus. Right. And I'm having so much fun here, and I know I'm going to enjoy the ambiance, and I'm going to enjoy the company with you and other people, and that makes up for a lot of other things.
Yeah, it does.
You know,
it does.
The brewery experience.
Yeah, you could go to one place and rate the experience completely different than the next place you went to for different reasons, right? Companies, you know, just the beer might excel at one place and not the other place, but who you're with matters. You know, a conversation with someone else in the bar, whether it's somebody that works there or the person sitting at the table next to you, could bolster that experience. You know, things that you go back. I always look at it like the places I remember.
Yeah.
You know, for whatever reason, I go back and remember. Like I'll remember Henmick and Hoof and all these places, and Great Lakes, obviously. But that experience, if it makes you remember that, you know what I mean? Like if it makes you remember the experience you had or the brewery you went to, there's something happened, something special happened.
Yeah, something special happened, and you look around, you're like, you know what? I know for me personally, you know, you've been around me long enough where I'm a history buff. Almost every time I go up to a brewery that's like an older building, you know, you've been around me long enough where I'm going, this has to be something before. I got to find out. Mm-hmm. And I find that to be cool. You know, the history of the place.
The history of the place. That alone, even when it wasn't a brewery, is cool because that adds to the brewery experience. You know, talking about Wiedemann's a good example of that, right? It was something else before that you know a great deal about ahead of time. But you know, what's the history of this building? Or even Great Lakes has a history. You know, the building has a history. So those things are cool, and I don't know, as we do these adventures, we learn. At some point, we'll have to write a book. We'll leave out half the details, but
well, I hold on. Well, and the other thing is, I don't know how many breweries that you go to that are brand new buildings. Most of them have been something else. Now, for a lot of people, they may like, who cares? I don't know. I think it's cool. You know, I think it's cool. So you renovated, you know, for example, it's like, so you renovated this brewery into, there used to be a firehouse, into a brewery.
Yeah.
I think that kind of stuff is absolutely cool. You know, or this place used to be, like here in Nashville, we have, what's the place? Oh, shit. You have to add this out. Atlanta Brewery.
Oh, Monday night.
Okay. So, for example, like Monday night here in Nashville used to be a meatpacking plant. Going, you go in there and you go, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can absolutely see that.
Building. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the building is literally crumbling down at one point. If you sit in their outside area, you can see that, but they have completely redone the building now, and not just Monday night, but the whole thing. Now it's you've got a whole history there with this building now, and we've seen it 100 times.
Yeah.
In places we go to.
Well, a little bit of the history aspect Stephen Scott's, what we also find. So Henmick Farm Brewery.
Let me just say, we appreciate those things. We appreciate our travels, and we appreciate going to these places for the new experiences.
We do. Absolutely. Well, Henmick Farm Brewery wrapped up our Columbus tour, and the next day we got up, and it was almost time to head home. This was on May 24th. But, before we headed home, there's a place that we had to go through. Our good friends, the Hill Tappers, they were like, can you meet us for one more? And we're like, of course we can meet you for one more. Of
course. We had to eat. We had to stop for lunch. So.
Well, that too.
What's the name of the town, Steve, that we stopped in?
We stopped in the town, the home of the Kentucky Derby. Good old Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky. Love Louisville.
I do love Louisville too. Yes, we stopped, which was, I don't remember, 3.5 hours after we left Columbus, but we had to stop and eat. We wanted to meet the Hill Tappers one last time. Kind of how we started the trip. We wanted to end the trip that way with our buddies, Tom and Brad, and we stopped at Awry, AWRY, and it's one of their, if not their favorite brewery in Louisville.
Right.
Now I'm saying Louisville. Anyway, so we stopped there. We had lunch. We had a couple of beers, and I think originally we had planned on maybe going to another place after that. And I started to fade. I'm like, we got to get back. I got to drive back. We still had 2.5 hours left. I just want to get home at this point. But no, we had a great visit with those guys one last time. Got a good lunch. Awry has good food, really good. And as a matter of fact, I think I had they had their own version of the McRib.
Okay.
Like the McDonald's McRib, but they had their own version of it, which is 100 times better than the McRib ever was, and a couple of beers. So I had the Bitter Me Timbers, which is an IPA, and a Knife Fight from their IPA. And I mean, it was just one last hurrah before we came back to town. I don't know if you
guys are going to remember this for hurrah. I have to tell them myself. So I had their Thunder Chicken, which I'm assuming is named after the fireworks show that they have close to the Kentucky Derby each year. I was not prepared for the first bite.
What was up?
It exploded in my mouth. It was extremely hot. I had a beer in my hand. I ran for the water. The guy that worked there saw me and he goes, "Do you need some water?" And I'm like, "Good, got it handled." It was just like a shock to the system, thunder
too much at once.
I loved it though.
Good stuff, man. It was good stuff.
Thunder Chicken.
Yeah. Didn't you rate the beer that was on the board that you had to literally manually put in on tap? Didn't you have that beer?
I think so, yeah. So it was had their wine on, which was a Kolsch, and then the Pilsner.
Oh, okay. I mean, there was another beer. Maybe Tom did it where there was another beer and I was going to get it, but it wasn't in Untapped yet, and I didn't feel like manually checking it in. So yeah. I let somebody else. Anyway.
No, I had the Kolsch and then their Pilsner sitting on the rainbows, and both of them were really good. So that, after we went to Louisville, that wrapped up a very, very, very long trip in which neither one of us got up each day and had like a major hangover. We weren't sitting around going, "Oh my God, we can't function and we can't get around," or anything like that.
Well, it helps when you can sleep till 9 a.m. every day, which we did. That's at least no hangovers. So part of our stats, 0 hangovers.
A little sleeping in, yep.
A little sleeping in. So like we did with the last episode, we have some stats.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
You want to talk about some of our stats on this leg of the trip?
Well, I know my stats on this leg of the trip, I had 31 beers. I checked in 9 new breweries for basically the total for the whole trip for Cincinnati, Akron, Cleveland, Columbus, and Louisville. I had approximately 88 beers. I think give or take, there may be maybe 1 or 2 more. A few of them I've had before, but I also checked in. This is what I really love. 16 new freaking breweries on the entire trip between Cincinnati, Cleveland, Akron, Columbus, Louisville. Love it. Absolutely love it.
I love that. Don't you love the new shit, whether it's new beers or new breweries? Isn't it just great? We're just adding to the totals. We're just adding to the lists.
Adding to the list.
You went to 16 new breweries. I only got to 12 new breweries because I'd been to a few of them before. So you out-brewered me this year. Out-brewered me.
Well, you've been to some of them before.
A couple, but I'm glad we got to them. No, it was good stuff. That's a lot of beer, Steve. Have you started AA yet, or is that next week? Because of all the beers.
I do have a AAA.
There you go. Probably get you a discount.
AA as well?
Okay. I think so. After this trip,
probably so.
It's a lot of beer. I had almost on par with you. I had 38 new beers on the Akron, Cleveland, Columbus, Louisville trip. That stretch, 41 total check-ins, and 6 new breweries on this one. You totally exceeded my new breweries on this trip. Overall, 118 new beers, 127 check-ins, 12 new breweries, and a total of 26 breweries on the overall trip from Friday to Saturday.
Well, there you go.
In the 8 days. It's incredible. 0 hangovers. Oh, by the way, and we just determined this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We have hit our 300th brewery.
Oh.
Now, some of our friends have hit a lot more than that, but 300 total breweries between the two of us is a lot of damn breweries, sir. And on this trip, we hit our 300th fucking total brewery. So we're getting up there. It's a lot.
Well, we're getting up there. That's right. Yeah, we have a ways to go, but that's why we keep going on brewery trips and drinking crap beer and checking into places and having a whole lot of great time. And so the question becomes in the future, what are we going to do to top it? I really don't know.
I don't look. We could do a full 2 weeks.
Lord.
Probably shouldn't do that. Let's break it up. let's save some for another day. But I got a few highlights. We talked about all of them, but a few highlights. I just wanted to bring up meeting Ryan at Mad Tree.
Yes.
Meeting Michael at Great Lakes.
Yes.
John and Anique and Brian at Esoteric, and then Dave and Chelsea at Eleventhree. Getting to meet those people was amazing. Those are highlights. Getting to hang out with the Hill Tappers as much as we did. Awesome guys. They love what we love. We love what they love. Just drinking beer and going to new places.
Yes.
We got to see Keith and
they're
Beth.
Such great guys, and they're funny. And there's going to be a lot more brewery adventures with them in the future. Thank God.
Yes, and they will be on the podcast at some point very soon.
Yep.
We got to hang out with Keith and Beth, who gave us a phenomenal tour of Cleveland and took us all to all the great places.
Thank you. Yes.
100%. We had a good beer trade. We got beer from Great Lakes. We traded beer with Keith and Elizabeth. Thank you for that. We went to 2 baseball games.
We did. The Reds actually won.
Weather turned out to be good. We got to see some family. We had beer. We had great beer all along the way. You continued your West Coast IPA journey. the continuing journey. And one of the things that I can't wait for it to happen is your push for 1,000 unique beers. I just mentioned in the last episode. Everybody. You are coming up very quickly. So
I feel like maybe that'll be happening in a few weeks at Preds Fest. I mean, there's so many opportunities to check in so many new beers at Preds Fest. Yeah. And I think we're going to run into the foamy heads there.
I think so.
I have a feeling that if I can actually, because I go to these beer festivals and I'm like, I don't have time to check in beers. So I guess I'm just going to have to make a concentrated effort. It takes a picture.
You got to be current, because as you approach 1,000, you want to hit that thousandths when you hit it. Like you want to hit the, in real time. You want to hit that thing
in real time. I'm telling you.
And actually, because that's late June, that's probably going to be a perfect timing. Plus, you probably have enough beer in your fridge right now to get to 1,000 between now and then. So you're going to chip away at it between now and then.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
And you're going to approach, yeah. So get all of the old ones that you haven't checked in yet. Remember those. Get those in, because we want that 1,000th to count. Yeah.
And we also have to talk about, even though this particular episode is talking more about what we did in Ohio, another beer that I checked in last night that adds to the list was the No Crust Strawberry from Marble Fox Brewing here in Nashville. We talked about these PB&J beers. Marble Fox, John, you have rocked the world on this one. I've rated this one a 4.50 on Untappd.
Outstanding. Really great beer, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I gave them out to a few people, like when we did the adventures we just did up in Kentucky and stuff. And I know a couple of people checked them in and like, this is fucking phenomenal. So
it's phenomenal, yeah.
Marble Fox, and by the way, Marble Fox has got a 2-year anniversary coming up in June. We'll talk more about that. We're going to go there for that event, but congrats to them, and we love what they're doing.
Yep. Well,
we love what everybody's doing.
We love what everybody's doing. That's right. We just love to talk about breweries and craft beer and the beer community. And so, by the way, I have to say, I'm trying to think, when am I ending this Great Lakes?
You haven't rated it yet?
Blackout Stout. What am I going to rate it?
What are you going to rate it?
Pretty high. It's pretty high.
It's got to be high. It's got to be like 4 point something. Right?
Oh, definitely. Michael, thank you for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, when you see our social media in the petition, and even if you don't live in Tennessee, let's get Great Lakes to Tennessee, because you might want to visit, and then we'll have it.
That's right. We'll have it.
Yeah, so Great Lakes beer to Tennessee. Please help us with that.
Sign the petition, everybody.
Sign the petition. Reach out. I'm putting the friggin' distributors on our social media so you can reach out to the distributors, because somebody's going to have to eventually have to be a distributor for them. Let them know that we want it. Let them know that you want it.
That's right. And we will follow the truck down. We'll do a live Instagram on the way. And
what if you're driving the truck? How great would that be?
I don't think anybody wants me to drive the truck.
Even the last mile. Just he drives it into the parking lot.
like here we are. We're coming into the first place where Great Lakes in Tennessee is going to be distributed.
The problem is, if you put Steve in the back in the front of that truck to drive it, he's going to drive it right to his house.
Oh, the profits are gone. Yeah, you're done.
The store never gets it. It goes right to his house.
That's right. You're done. Anyway, well, speaking of done, I guess this wraps it up.
We're going to apologize for the length of both episodes, but we were not splitting this into 4 parts. So you're getting 2 hours on the first one and whatever this one turns out to be.
Keep listening. We try to be entertaining. I think we were. Yep.
We have some really good stuff coming up, too. Episode-wise. We've got some good guests lined up and more to come.
Stand by for further updates. Can we end this one better than we did the one the other night? How are we going to do that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It was funny, but By the way, thanks for listening. We love you. I love you, partner. This has been great. It's been a full experience, and I can't wait to do it again.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Steve, Scott, Brewery Underground Podcast. See you soon.
F it. We did it live.
We did it live.
We did it live. F it. We did it live.
Cheers to everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bring Great Lakes to Tennessee.